Hey, I'm here today with Crystal Allen. Crystal, thanks for joining me. First and foremost, I know you're super busy, so thanks for taking the time to be here.
I'm glad to be here, Rob. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. And Vice President of Operations at Boys and Girls Club of Greater Cincinnati is your current role, but I also know that just recently you were announced as the CEO of Boys and Girls Club of Dayton.
Yes.
So congratulations. Before we roll into any of the other stuff, just tell me a little bit about how that kind of happened. That's a big deal.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So it is a big deal. I've had a wonderful career here at Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati. Been here 12 years. Started out boots on the ground as a part-time program leader, and then I became the program director, a club director, vice president of human resources, and now vice president of operations. Simultaneously, I was the interim CEO in Dayton, and just as you mentioned, just announced as the new CEO in Dayton. I'm really, really excited about what we've been able to do in Cincinnati and how we can help the community in Dayton. For me, it's not just about one kid, it's about all kids and our mission. We have the same mission in Cincinnati that we have in Dayton. I often say to our team in Dayton, the kids in Dayton belong to the staff in Cincinnati, and the staff in Cincinnati belong to the kids in California. So it's a great way to really, really, truly build, as we call it, the movement. And I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love that. And congratulations.
Thank you.
And what I'm really going to love about this conversation, interested about in this conversation, as you mentioned, you've been in it from the ground up. You've seen it from a program side all the way up through operations. Tell me a little bit about when you decided, or your team helped to decide, hey, we need to become increasingly trauma informed for us to really be about our mission. Why that decision, and what was going on in the background when you made that decision?
Well, we are a continuous quality improvement organization, so we're continuously learning. How do we deepen our impact, not just serve more kids across various sites or across our region, but how do we deepen our impact with the kids that we serve now as well? And in looking at our data, we knew that we needed to go deeper. So yes, our kids were improving in some areas, but not how we felt they could, right? We knew our impact could be a little bit deeper. And so we really started to look at trauma competent care, trauma informed care, and just as an organization, just understanding more about what that meant, because it's not our wheelhouse essentially, right? We don't dabble in the SEL space completely, right? We needed additional experts to come in and help guide us along the journey. And so we were able to partner with Back to Back Ministries, which has been a fantastic partnership for 4 years. And that partnership has helped us to really see not just how we deliver services, but how we interact as adults with each other from a trauma-informed lens. So everything from our staff meetings down to our staff trainings, not just our programs with our kids, but it has really become not just what we do, but who we are.
Yeah.
And looking at every interaction that we have, whether it's with another staff member, a youth, a teen, a donor, a board member, a caregiver, from a trauma-informed lens.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where people are showing up from.
Yeah. You brought up a couple of things there. One, the first one I want to talk about a little bit is, you mentioned with Back to Back Ministries, and you're partnering with them. We are a subsidiary of Back to Back Ministries, Trauma Free World. I love what is happening with Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati and Back to Back as you now begin to influence other like-minded organizations in the city. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to, even outside of Boys and Girls Clubs, to begin to build a community of people who are increasingly trauma-informed in Cincinnati?
It is so critically important because oftentimes, we're serving the same kids, right? Whether it's schools, after school programs at Boys and Girls Clubs, or other youth service agencies, we're generally serving the same kids. And so it just does the child well to have more people speaking the same language, right? To help change those belief systems and to help our kids really feel empowered to be who they are authentically. So we do something in Boys and Girls Clubs called Graduate Fit for Life Ready to Serve, right? That is our program. That's what we do. YPQI, Youth Program Quality Intervention, is how we do it. And that is a tool that was developed by the David P. Weichert Center that strictly shows us how to become a gold standard after school program, right? Trauma Free World partnered with YPQA is a recipe for an amazing child, right? Because I mean, you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how do you create that safe space, and on up to the pyramid. Trauma-Free World really does help us to really frame that work that we're doing. And it has been extremely, extremely helpful for our staff as well. We had all of our staff complete the Trauma-Free World training. Because again, we don't just want it to be something that we're doing. We want it to be who we are. And we know that we have staff turnover to a degree, right? But how do we have that continuum of service, that continuum of this is who we are in the trauma space? How do we continue the work so that, when someone else comes in new, we're not completely doing a reset every time that happens? And so we had all of our staff go through all the training. And then, of course, we do the 3-day intense training, which is really, really informative and helpful for us as well.
Yeah.
And so as an administrator, also, we have our staff who are on the ground who are doing the training every day. We have or every time that it's offered, we have our club directors who are doing the training. But we also have administrators who are participating in the trainings as well, which again just helps us to become a stronger organization.
Yeah, I love that. It's often a missing piece for organizations. They think in terms of who we're serving, and absolutely they should. So boots on the ground, your kids are coming to your programming, but a lot of times organizations don't think deeply about how we're working together in order to make that happen. Is there anything you would say just about how it's improved perhaps your staff's own understanding of themselves or their staff's interaction with one another to be a safer place while doing the work, not just doing the work?
Absolutely. So one of the conversations that we had very early on with thinking about Trauma-Free World, trauma competent care, was how do we help our staff unpack some of their trauma, right? Because as they are going through these modules and they're going through the wonderful online platform of trainings that exist, they are going to feel some things, right? Maybe things that they have not had an opportunity to unpack or to process. So how do we help our staff deal with those things? And one of the things that we learned, Rob, was sometimes when we would see these interactions between an adult and a child, it was oftentimes something that may be triggered, right? Either the adult or the child from their past experiences. And so it was really important that as we, taught our staff how to deal with our kids, how to see youth development from a trauma-informed care lens, also understanding how do we as adults see each other from a trauma-informed lens.
Love that.
And it really has built, we already have an amazing, strong team, but Trauma-Free World was the icing on the cake for us, really, and has helped us to create an organization where, everybody is free to authentically be and say who they are, right? And feel safe in doing that. So we've created these safe spaces. Not that it wasn't safe before, but I think this is just put the icing on the cake for us. And a reminder for us, like, when we're in our meetings, this is like practice for us, right?
Right.
So that when we get in front of our kids, we ensure that it's happening.
Yeah, I love hearing that. We hear it time and again, whether it's in the corporate space or with education or what you're explaining here, that there's a depth of relationship that is built when people do the training together. Not just in, again, what you're saying and how they serve who they're serving, but how they serve together with one another. I loved how you put it as authentic, and we just hear a lot about that. Now, before we go, you came in and you told me a stat. You were giddy about it, and I want everybody else to hear it because I just think it's so exciting. Tell me before we go a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited. We have an assessment that we do on our kids 3 times a year. Reading and math assessment. We utilize the Ames Web Plus assessment tool. And the reason why we conduct our own assessment is because we straddle 2 states. We're in 8 major school districts, so it's kind of hard to aggregate all of that data. But we were able to get our data back from the end of the year, of all of our young people who had their reading and math assessments. And I was really, really happy to see that 84% of our youth improved in reading and 73% improved in math. And that is huge, especially climbing out of COVID.
Crazy.
Especially climbing out of COVID. And especially, for a lot of kids that we serve that come from hard spaces and places, right? And so I attribute that to 2 things. One, us continuously creating these safe spaces where kids feel empowered to learn, right? And and us as a staff being aware of their learning style and of the spaces that we create. And every kid's not going to sit in the chair. Some kids might want to lay on the floor. Right. Some kids might want to stand on the wall. These are all things that we learned, right, in Trauma-Free World and Trauma Competent Care and all of that. And then the other has just been, making sure that we continue to remain mission aligned with our partnerships. We have a wonderful partnership with Club Z that has kind of come in and helped us with some of the tutoring work as well. But again, even with our partners who are coming in, we provide the trauma competent care framework, right, for them to be able to operate. So this is language that we use. You come up in any of our clubs, we have safety scripts up, right? We have things that our kids are able to take home to their caregivers, and so I'm really, really excited about that stat, and it really is proof. And I would say that to any other organization who's wondering, does it work? Is it worth it? Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Yeah.
Well, we're honored to partner with Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati. It's been an amazing partnership. And one thing you didn't mention, it's a testimony to your work and the work of your staff who diligently, even through COVID, found a way to continue to reach and impact the kids and the families that you serve. And that Trauma-Free World could be a part of that is just really amazing.
Well, we thank you for joining our journey.
Yeah.
It is not it's not difficult work. Trauma-Free World is not. It's really an additional tool to put in your toolbox. And I often say to our team, we don't ever get weary of the work. I don't ever get tired of helping young people. That's what I'm called to do. But I get weary in the work, right? In the day-to-day going. And the Trauma-Free World space just really has helped us to be able to process, right? How are we moving through our day to day? How are we moving through programs and the delivery of services that we offer our young people?
Well, I can't wait to continue at Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Cincinnati, but I also can't wait to follow your leadership at Boys and Girls Club of Dayton. Maybe we can make an equal impact there.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I am.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Crystal. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you. It's an honor.